Welcome back, Red Sox Nation. Kyle Schwarber is off the board. That's really the big breaking news of today, signing a 5-year, $150 million contract to return to his home in Philadelphia. I'm Nick the Voice, joined tonight by Doug Aitchison and Terry Cushman Jr., and we are the Bastards of Boston. Now, how do you fellas feel? We're jumping right into it with Schwarber because I feel like that's the big news of the day. Obviously, this is one of those potential targets. He was, I would say, maybe second on my list as far as our first base options went. I think Alonso was first for me, probably a lot of people. Schwarber right underneath him. And there was a lot of distance, quite frankly, between those two guys and everyone else. So now that Schwarber is off the board, changes the landscape quite a bit. What was your guys' reaction to that tonight? Let's start with Doug, go to Terry, then back to myself.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were surprised to see it, but it's one of those that's like, I don't think any of us thought we were going to get him. I think everyone kind of thought he'd go back to Philly, but once you see it on the books, it's just like, damn. And it's like, all right, that's one less. That's one less for us. So even though we kind of saw it coming, now that it's on the books, it's in front of you, and you got to make the right move now, and you got to secure Alonso because you had to get one of the two. We're obviously not getting Schwarber. You got to secure Alonso now. Has to be priority number one.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't do much to drive my anxiety up. We knew he was going to be a Philly. He had a pick attached to him. The Phillies organization has made it very well known how important Kyle Schwarber is to that organization. The dude's a machine. I guess he's averaged 45 home runs over the last 4 seasons and well over 100 RBIs. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is, I don't want to say the perfect hitter, but he's perfect for a team in terms of leadership, production, and just kind of at times putting the team on his back. And the Phillies got it done. They didn't overthink it. They didn't drag it out. They didn't make it dramatic. They had a need, which was to put him back in their lineup and continue forward. And they also extended their manager today. That kind of got swept under the rug. I mean, through all the rumors, it just kind of got glossed over. But Rob Thompson will remain with the Phillies through 2027. I don't remember if there was an option on that or not. But Dave Dombrowski takes care of business. I'm not surprised he handled his before everyone else.
100%. Yeah, I mean, the Phillies organization has really been good for that lately. The past several years, pretty much ever since Dombrowski went there, that team has just been known as a winner. And even though they haven't gotten themselves the ring that I know all the fans wanted and I know everyone in that organization wanted so badly, they got a lot closer than just about any other team aside from the Dodgers have gotten, to being that multi-year threat. It really seems like if they were in the American League, maybe they would have had multiple shots to go for it. And unfortunately, it's just not been that case. You go back to the Bryce Harper acquisition. I think that was kind of a watershed moment for that organization. Ever since then, they've just been building on it. Whether it's, getting guys like Ranger Suarez, getting guys like Zach Wheeler, Bryce Harper, like I said, Kyle Schwarber. This organization, they're developing good players, they're buying good players, they're trading for good players, and they're just a juggernaut. And this move, I had speculated when we did the the free agent rundown that, maybe Dombrowski will justify Schwarber's money coming off the books to maybe spring for a guy and surprise us by saying, we're in on the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. And instead, Dombrowski decides to be active early and say, you know what? We see a guy we like. We see a guy we love. This dude has been mashing for us. He's been a huge part of this offense. We want to keep it that way. And he went out and he got his guy. And, you got to give a lot of credit where credit's due for having the initiative to take a move like that and just go for it.
I tweeted out, it was a quote tweet to whoever broke the news. I don't remember if it was Passan or whoever, but I said the best executive in baseball got his guy. And one of our trolls, I'm not even gonna give him the satisfaction of naming him, but he says to me, "What's he done since 2018?" And I'm like, well, he won a pennant in 2022 and he's won 2 division titles. The Red Sox, none of that since Dave Dombrowski left. And I was also just thinking today, this is like the extreme irony. Craig Breslow might be the first top Red Sox executive to get fleeced by 2 former Red Sox executives in the same winter. Like, that's historic. Like, 2 boys that Sam Kennedy fired, fleeced his current boy. So that's just crazy. And then the irony, we can get into this more later, but we're trying to work out a deal for Ketel Marte with a guy who happened to be Dave Dombrowski's top lieutenant, Mike Hazen. And that negotiation isn't going so well. Breslow and Hazen's universally respected. He is a smart executive. And Breslow just can't handle business against guys like him.
Yeah, it's hard to trust. It's hard to know all the GMs are in one place, and it's hard to believe that Breslow's like, holding court and, pressing guys. And it's just hard to see that.
Yeah, and that contrasts really, really well with our own GM, I think, where what was the quote that just came out? It was, to paraphrase pretty much Breslow, just talking about how you go into the offseason with a plan, an ideal, and you quickly realize that ideal isn't going to be realized, which is kind of a crazy quote to fire off this early in the offseason, because to me, a lot of our top targets aren't even off the board yet.
It's been an emotional day, and you're getting a lot of mixed messages. I mean, you go back to Sonny Gray. We were targeting a number 2. We got him. He's not a number 2. We've heard for much of the past 72 hours, we're looking for a big bat. And then there was a report by Pete Abraham that Alex Bregman's the big bat, and he's not a big bat. He's a productive hitter, but he's not exceptionally powerful. And I think he only hit 7 or maybe it was 11 actually home runs the last 3 months of the season when he came back from the quad injury. So he keeps falling short of his own expectations, and we keep seeing like rumors like the Red Sox are in on Corey Seager, only for like 7 minutes later there to be a contradictory report. The Red Sox aren't even close on Seager. Right. It's like Breslow's like leaking it out there himself. Oh, I'll just say I'm looking at this guy so that this guy might be more interested. And people are just, I don't know. That's just hypothetical. I don't know that that's happening. But
you think that's what was behind the Yoshida news? It's like, oh, yeah, he's healthy. If anyone wants him, he's real healthy.
That was Alex Cora's. That was Alex Cora's own quote on an interview.
Yeah,
like he said that he's like Yoshida's a big part of what we're doing. He's gonna have a big year. He's finally healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm like. And this is like maybe an hour, maybe 90 minutes after the Schwarber news. We're getting pro Yoshida propaganda.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want that right now.
It's quite poetic. It is quite poetic when you consider that this organization ultimately chose Yoshida over Schwarber. If you really think about it, this organization decided that they would rather pay Masataka Yoshida $18 million a year to DH than Kyle Schwarber 20.
Damn.
And Schwarber only got a $10 million a year raise. I mean, it's not like, because I was hearing 45 million on like a 3-year deal. Like those types of numbers were being floated, but he just got basically the stereotypical or prototypical. I don't know which typical I'm looking for, but he basically got the 30 million a year that most, 35 to 40 home run guys typically get in a season, and he got it. A very basic deal for someone of his ability. And let's face it, I mean, does Kyle Schwarber impact an offense much differently than Pete Alonso? I think they both contribute. They both impact a team about the same way.
Yeah.
And here we are just completely overthinking it. Just go get your guy.
I know.
Just end it. What are you obsessing over? Maybe an extra $3 million a year?
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? Just prove you can get it done. Like, if any team signs him for less than 4 years and it's not the Red Sox, Craig Breslow just didn't. He just wasn't the right guy. He just completely inept, couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, that's worst case scenario.
From the sounds of it, from what we heard, the Pirates made a pretty decent competitive offer. From what I heard, it was maybe a year short of what he was ultimately offered by the Phillies. However, the Orioles matched it, right? From the rumors, the Orioles and the Phillies gave the same exact offer, and ultimately Kyle decided to go home. So, you know,
no brainer there.
Yeah, ultimately, sometimes, you're going to get outdone by a player like that. Like, there's even been times in the past, I forget the specific examples, but I remember where we'll offer a guy a contract and he'll even take less to go somewhere else. It's just destination. Maybe it's even just a tax bracket, but
Yeah,
sometimes
I think that's a good point, though. Yeah, I mean, everyone's just like, sign this guy, sign this guy. It's like sometimes people don't want to go to your team.
But, it would have been really compelling to me if those reports came out and it was like the Phillies, the Orioles, and the Red Sox all offered 5 years, $150 million, and our name is completely devoid from that list, which is funny because, the Reds, the Pirates are on there. You'd think we would have been at least competitive with our offer, but I mean, the Red Sox for many years have been the interest kings for a reason. I forget who coined that term. It was back during the Chaim Bloom era, I believe, and it kind of held true for a long time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't on that list for Schwarber, then I mean that has to mean that we were just looking at Alonso the whole time. I would hope, I mean, that's the only reason why we wouldn't be, I would think.
Well, he had a pick attached to him. I mean, there was just no realistic way. And then what are you going to do with him? I mean, he's not really a first baseman. We experimented with that. It didn't work.
No, he's a DH.
The one time Charlie and I met in person, we went to a game, and that was the game. I don't know if it was his first start at first base, but it was one of his few starts, let's put it that way, and he lost the ball up. It was like popped up next to the pitcher's mound.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It landed like right next to him. So that just didn't go well, and you don't really want to put him in the outfield if you can avoid it. If you want to mess around or whatever, maybe do it game 2 of a doubleheader, for instance. I don't know. It's hard to come up with an acceptable scenario, but he's a DH. And until someone for sure takes Yoshida off your hands, you're not going to do it. So to me, it's Alonso. Like I was just saying, there is no reason for him to sign a 4-year deal with another team not named the Red Sox. If Breslow talks himself out of that, there's no reason to expect he's ever going to adequately address any solutions that need to be confronted. There's just no reason for it. And even if it's 5 years, so what? He's going to be 36, and he'll probably be the DH after Yoshida, after his deal runs up. And I just can't, the constant incompetence that we all have to try to wrap our heads around, and then listen to him spew at the press conferences like he's the smartest guy in the room when he's the dumbest guy. What is he good at besides building a pitching infrastructure? That's the only thing he's good at. And you don't need people skills for that. You just need to be smart with the data and, know which young guys to acquire to develop. That's it. That's all you need. If Theo Epstein could just work the phones this week, imagine what would get done.
The trade record has not been good. That's what I'll say. And, last season he made the Garrett Crochet trade, But as I think all of us on this show have shared, myself certainly, maybe even the loudest, anyone could have made that trade. And from the reports, apparently we're getting some buyer's remorse, not for getting Garrett Crochet, but for giving away Kyle Teal. That maybe, we we gave away the wrong prospect. Hey, White Sox, can we have him back? We just shipped out Vaughn Grissom, and I'm not entirely sure on the return. We got a prospect back. Could be a decent piece, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was kind of a nothing trade. It was a minor piece for a minor piece. And I mean, you just look at the superstar talent that this roster has had in the past that we've allowed to slip through our fingers. It's completely unacceptable for an organization of our caliber.
Yeah, 100%. It was just, I agree with you, Terry, with the, he's proven that he can build some depth in the pitching rotation, but it's just, it's just something about it. I just don't believe in him.
That's what he was essentially in Chicago. He was some type of pitching coordinator, but they attached an assistant GM role. Every team has at least 3 or 4 assistant GMs that have widely different responsibilities. Like Eddie Romero, for instance, handles all the international scouting.
Mm-hmm.
That you sign those players with your international money or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So he was responsible for Bogarts, Devers, Bayo, those types of guys. And that's an important thing to have. But Breslow, he was the 11th choice, and that's the performance that you're getting. That's the performance year after year that you get from him. And it's even worse when the season starts. Peyton Tolley never should have seen the light of day in Major League Baseball last season. He only got called up because of Breslow's incompetence. And then he got exposed. We're like, wait a minute. He only has a fastball that he can locate sometimes. He just wasn't ready. And I think we got lucky with Connolly early, and apparently he's the big name that all the teams want. That's the guy that the Diamondbacks want for Ketel Marte.
Would you do that?
No.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
I'd probably send Tolley.
Maybe.
For Marte, no, honestly, for Marte, I wouldn't. For Marte, I wouldn't. But I would be willing to have Tolley in a trade.
Yes.
For Skubal or Ryan.
I would give either Tolley or Early up for a pitcher that we hope they will turn into.
Yeah.
That's sort of my philosophy on those two.
Yeah, but I'm definitely higher on Early.
In a Marte trade, I'd give up Dobbins, I'd give up Harrison, I'd give up a whole load of pitching. But those two guys, I'm just gripping onto them. I'm like, no, not these two, please. They're all I have,
I really like Dobbins too, but I probably would put him in a Marte type trade. Heyman's pointing out that the market's heating up, so I don't really trust Heyman, with anyone that's not a Boris client. I just feel like, and I could be wrong, and I'm just speculating, but I just feel like he's just trying to keep up with the Passons and the Rosenthals, so he throws something out there. I remember, I think it was when Machado signed, he just posted a theoretical tweet that, they're not close, but these teams are checking in. And then Passon's like, Padres are signing Machado. and then Heyman had to delete the tweet. So we'll see. What's notable about tonight, if you go back a year ago, tonight, the Tuesday of the winter meetings, we missed out on Max Fried, and then pivoted the next day to Garrett Crochet, which I think worked out. Fried was fine, but you want to ideally the 27-year-old arm is what we wanted. So I don't know if something will happen tonight. That's why I want a 10 o'clock start, because, I've mentioned a few years ago going into the trade deadline, it wasn't even deadline day, or maybe not even the night before the deadline. It was a Thursday night or something like that, and we debated on whether we wanted Schwarber or Rizzo. And I think of the three on the show, I wanted Rizzo. And, because, he was a first baseman, and he was okay. And Schwarber was actually on the injured list at the time, but we were assured that he was going to be okay. So we just did a whole, I don't know how long it was, 45-minute show, wrapped the show, uploaded it, and then maybe 20 minutes after we wrapped, we got Schwarber. So that whole show was in the toilet.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, something Chris has. Chris is in our chat, a team member of Bastards Boston, and he did point out that the Sox did not meet with Alonso today because someone in the front office had a cold and felt ill. That is true. The report is that they met via Zoom meeting, but did not meet in person. They would like to, and I would just like to apologize. I completely botched that, for us. I have had a cold all week, and so, maybe someone on the Red Sox caught it through me somehow. But oh God, I don't know. The Alonso, the winter meetings are such a hot spot for rumors and whatnot, and we're hearing so much. If not Alonso, I'm afraid of what our answer at first base is going to be, because you have some people, I'm hearing rumblings. We already heard about the Yoshida propaganda, right? Is the Casas train going to come back? And Casas isn't a player I'm entirely out on, but right now he is a player that I really am kind of desperate to replace. If Casas opened up as DH because we moved Yoshida, that's something I would be fine with. But if Casas is our starting first baseman, and that kind of means to me we only got one infielder, right? You assume Meyer, Story, and then either Marte, Bregman, take your pick. I've heard other people say Eugenio Suarez, who is a player that was a guy I was eyeing at the deadline last year, but more as a temporary fix rather than a complete player that I would like to trot out every day. What are your guys' thoughts on that, on the first base conundrum that we've kind of found ourselves within?
Yeah, I think it continues to be our biggest problem. It was going into last season. They didn't do anything. Casas went down. It proved to be our biggest hole, and it is again. It's just, Terry, you asked me how much I miss Nate Lowe. If we go into the season with I'm going to be missing Nate Lowe if Casas is our starting first baseman. But, I think I'm with you, Nick. Like, I don't need to see Casas off this team, but I don't want him to be the starting first baseman on opening day.
Honestly, make him the third piece of a trade package.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you do. He's the lottery ticket.
Yeah.
He's the Johan Oviedo of the package. That's where, I don't know. I still hate that trade, but that's the easiest way to get rid of him. It's not embarrassing. It's a dignified, okay, we weren't going to use you anyway, and you were a little weird, so we're just going to send you to this team. And that's how I would do it. The Diamondbacks, maybe that helps get Marte. I don't know, but what else is there? You could go back to Romy, I guess. That's an option.
Yeah, he had a great year.
Yeah, and he was still hitting for contact after the weird iPad thing, but the home runs went away. He just wasn't hitting home runs the last 6 or 7 weeks of the season. And, he did have some clutch hits. He's really good at going, just shooting a single through the right field gap there. But I don't know. And another quote that bothered me, this was, it wasn't a quote, it was a tweet from Cotillo, but he said that the Red Sox are really high on Nate Eaton and Johan Moran in a utility type role, and says that could be the pivot from Ref Snyder. So you're just getting all these annoying nuggets after the Schwarber thing. And Pete Abe, said that the Red Sox seem to prefer Bregman, which makes no sense. I tweeted it out earlier. I think Bregman is essentially washed, and I'm early to the party. I've said multiple times, he's about a $20 million a year player. That's his value. That's what he should be paid. If his name wasn't Alex Bregman and it was something else, that's probably what he's going to get paid. And then 3 years from now, he might not even be a $10 million a year player. If he falls off that cliff, if suddenly he's only playing 80 to 100 games a season, I don't want to, if he's the only bat, I'm going to lose my mind. There's just too many red flags.
Yeah.
And Pete Abe just came out with a tweet, or I don't know what it was. He's on Blue Sky. What do they call those on Blue Sky? But
Bleat.
A bleat? Is that
I
what
have
they call
no
it?
idea.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Well, he says this is it's in quotes, so it's a quote from his article. He says the Sox also have the opportunity to double down and sign first baseman Pete Alonso. If it's not Bregman or Alonso, it could be both. And I've been kind of wondering that, like in the back of my mind, is there like a compromise type where they'll get them both slightly discounted and that'll appease Boris. The players will just accept it rather than how stressed out. I don't think Alonso's super stressed right now, but I bet you Bregman is. His market's kind of quiet and he's not going to impact a team the way Alonso is. So if you're Alex Bregman, you're probably not sleeping good tonight. You're probably getting drunk, to take your mind off of ending up somewhere where you don't want to be for a contract you don't really want to sign.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I'm as I think about this and as I've thought about it the last few days, what's a number? What's a nice compromise number for both? I'm thinking 5 years, 125. That's 25 per. It's enough to feed their families. It's not an insult. It's not what they wanted, but maybe that gets it done.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the interesting thing with the Bregman contract situation to me is that we kind of got a pilot version of this exact offseason last year, right? And the common consensus was that no one really wanted Bregman for what he thought he was worth. A year later, I know it's premature to say, but it is kind of looking, like you said, Terry, what with the rumors that we've seen around Alonso, Marte, a lot of buzz around a lot of guys, it kind of seems like it's a running back of that same exact phenomenon. A lot of teams probably don't think Bregman is worth what he thinks he's worth. And that's a tough position to be in. I mean, you're coming off ultimately a decent year where you got banged up and lost a step. That's going to scare a lot of teams because ultimately, when so much of your value comes from your defense, getting older is a much scarier thing. A guy like Schwarber, that dude's probably going to be hitting bombs at 40 years old. I'm pretty all right saying that, to be honest with you. Guy like Bregman, I mean, yeah, he's good for 25, 30 home runs a year in a good year if he doesn't get injured. What if he does? What if he pulls something? What if he gets hurt? It happened this year, could happen again. And I agree with you. I mean, the guy is ultimately going to have to take some form of discount. It's either the years or the money, just like last year, but it kind of feels like that ship has sailed even on the high AAV low year thing. We gave him that opportunity. He opted out. It's going to be interesting to see what he has to agree to.
I wonder if he regrets not taking the Tigers deal.
Yeah.
The 171. I mean, it was a fair deal. I don't even know if he gets that, honestly. He got his 40 last year, so what does he need? He needs at least 130 or so on whatever deal he gets this year. I don't know if that deal's out there for him, but he could have just taken the Tigers deal, just relaxed. I mean, I don't know what their window is. I mean, you're not going to extend Skubal.
As long as they got Skubal's probably their window, which might be over.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I guess they are in the American League Central, so where's the bar really for all the teams in that division? But so it's And the other thing too, and I mentioned it last night, and I didn't even realize it till like mid take, and then I had to be like, oh, that's why. The big thing screwing Bregman right now is the timing of the lockout year, because the take I started to get into was maybe Bregman's a moron for not opting into that second $40 million season. But where it screws him is he'll opt out at the end of it, but now he's going to have to go into free agency during the lockout, and no contracts will be signed by December 1st. They're just going to go into the lockout. I'd be shocked if anyone takes any deals, in the one available month before the lockout. So if you're Bregman now, okay, so now I'm going into the lockout season. I'm going to be an extra year older. What am I going to be worth that next winter after sitting on my butt for a year? I don't know how old he'll be. He's what, 30, probably 33 now. So he'll be 35
at least. Yeah.
coming out of the lockout. So that it just wasn't good timing on his part. And the other thing, and we haven't mentioned that last night, Dave Roberts supports the salary cap, and he would not say that if the Dodgers themselves, or I'm just speculating.
I think that's fair, though.
That's my key line tonight. I don't think he would have said that if the Dodgers didn't want to do it. The Red Sox want to do it. The Brewers want to do it. The Rays want to do a salary cap. So everybody is going to want a salary cap, and I don't see how you can. I don't see how you avoid a lost season, basically, due to the lockout.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's why, you said before, you think he's probably losing sleep. You would think that he is, and and Alonso's probably sitting back thinking he's gonna get the money that he wants. Somewhere he's gonna get his number. Bregman doesn't look like he didn't last year, right? He didn't get. Well, I guess he ended up he had a high, but it doesn't look like he's gonna get really what he wants. So it's gonna. I agree. I think he's probably really nervous right now.
We talked earlier about a GM going out and getting his guy, getting who you want. And I am a bit afraid that we're going to wind up scrambling for a consolation prize almost at the end of this offseason, and I think the worst case scenario is that we get 3, right? We get 3 consolation prizes. It's the idea that we wanted Alonso and Bregman and maybe Ranger Suarez or something like that right out the gate. And you get Sonny Gray and you say, well, all right. I've come to terms with that. He's our number 2. Okay, sure thing. But that certainly means we're getting the other guys, right? And Breslau just slaps his knee and goes, no, buddy, Polanco and Okamoto, and you're going to like it, and that's your answer, and that scares me, honestly, because I don't want Eugenio Suarez.
Especially in that voice. So that's scary.
I don't want it, man. If you give me Polanco or Okamoto, and that's one of the guys, I'm like, all right, well, who's the other one? You know what I mean? To go along with an Alonso or a Marte or something. I can live with that, I guess. I'll rationalize it. But it's heating up, man. And you can sort of feel that. And it's going to be really scary going forward. As soon as that breaking news hits that Alonso signs, I know I'm going to have that pit in my stomach and go, oh, God, what team?
What if we do nothing this week? And I think with each literal passing hour, we have to confront that possibility more and more. But I want stuff about Breslow to come out. Like, who is he really? How do other teams really feel about him? How do agents feel about him? Because I just feel like I don't feel like the media holds him accountable, in other words.
Yeah. I mean, do you think if other GMs think he's kind of like a soft, do you think they'd even say that? Or they just try to keep it so they keep taking advantage of him?
I don't know. It's.
Do you think I mean, well, there was that there was that thing saying that one tweet that we were sharing with each other saying that Alonso might not sign till like the end of the week or like next week, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that'd be that would be brutal.
he said that the tweet said that it could be a long wait,
Right,
really. And
right.
I've said recently that I would be surprised if Boris went that route. That
Yeah,
strategy did not work last year.
I agree.
And let's say there's 3 teams in on Alonso. One or two of them might just say, you know what? I can't wait. I'm just going to
Yeah,
pivot to
yeah.
player B and make that move. Now the market's smaller. None of that benefits Pete Alonso. And here's another thing, like for people or maybe executives that they're questioning, how will he hold up over the course of the remainder of the decade. A guy that I kind of look at right now is Paul Goldschmidt. He kind of faded a little bit, and a lot of people were saying he was on the downside. And then what year was it? 2022. He wins the National League MVP. So, and Alonso isn't the Gold Glove defender that
Right.
Goldschmidt is. So maybe it's not the fairest comparison, but Goldschmidt, even through 2025, has been a relevant bat. And I don't think we need to overthink this. I don't think so. And last night I said, Dombrowski did it with JD Martinez. Just let him sit there. Whatever. I'll sign him when he's ready. But Dave Dombrowski can do that. He can navigate that market. He can check in with Boris every couple of days. Breslow can't do that. I don't think. I pointed out earlier, he made 2 low leverage trades with 2 former Red Sox executives, and now he's stepping up to try to make a big one with a really respected former Red Sox executive, and he can't pull the trigger. I think that's a scary world for him, and I don't think he can navigate it. We haven't seen him do it. And a lot of these low leverage deals, like the Vaughn Grissom for Chris Sale deal, they just haven't worked. What trades has he won? You look at the Crochet one, okay, fine. People will point out Narvaez. I don't think Craig Breslow in his wildest imaginations thought that deal was going to work out the way that it was. He thought he was getting a backup catcher.
Yeah.
And, and that's all that was. Like,
He thought he was going into the season with friggin' Connor Wong.
And he signs Chapman last year. And I'm like, okay, well, he signed a top 10 all-time great closer. That was a ballsy move.
Yeah.
And Bregman, I don't think that really worked out that well. It did for the first 2 months, but so there's not much credit to give him aside from Connolly Early, Peyton Tolley, some of these guys coming up. Lucas Giolito, maybe you can give Breslow credit for that, but there's just not a lot.
Do you think sitting here right now we signed Alonso? You think that we do it?
I don't know.
I say yes. I think we do. I think it happens. I think there's too much smoke right now. Like, it's just everything's pointing towards the Red Sox.
It's always a scary thing because Scott Boras, you're playing like, a dance with the devil right now, where this guy's going around the offseason. I've never seen Boras promote his clients quite like this. He's writing poems like he's Muhammad Ali. He's reciting these cute little rhymes about each of his guys. He's out here like he's Don King, walking these guys out to the ring saying, my God, and look at this beautiful specimen here. My God, he floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee. And it's just unbelievable. There was the whole Bellinger thing. He was pretty much writing in a cryptograph like he's in World War II. Try to decode my message, see all the teams that are interested. It's ridiculous. And that's what's scaring me. But maybe it's a good sign. Maybe it's overcompensation. Maybe the league as a whole is soured on Boris a little bit. I think that that's probably true. You've seen quite a few guys. It was Jordan Montgomery, right? A few years that right up until the last second, he kind of gambled with that contract, didn't get it, had to settle, kind of hurt his career, really. I just hope Alonso signs sooner rather than later. At the very least, it would allow us to pivot if it's not with us, because if we're here talking with Alonso chasing that, whether or not we even were in on Schwarber, if we're chasing Alonso so hard that like Polanco goes off the board and then Suarez goes off the board and then Akamoto goes off the board and then Alonso goes somewhere else and we're like, all right, Casas it is, I guess that's like the definition of the worst case scenario, I suppose.
Honestly, if Alonso comes off the board, it's over. I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Even the moves we make after that, even if we get Marte, it's just
you can't produce 40 home runs anywhere else. And I'm, when you are in the room of Moneyball, you go back, to the movie, one of my favorite movies of all time. And, you have the old heads who are saying, well, we need to replace, this many home runs and this many RBIs. And then there's the other school, which is, well, actually, we just need to make a productive all-around player. Alonso satisfies both of those. And I think he's the only one that does.
Yeah. He
is the best all-around player. He gives us the power that we need. And he is a complete guy, unlike a Eugenio Suarez. So I really do have to agree that, like, if Alonso is off the board, I mean, what are we doing, man?
Yeah.
And where are we spending the money? We're going to sit here with $45-50 million in our hands saying, oh, well, we're hoarding it like Dragon's Wealth. Well, we're going to trade for Marte. All right, that's 20, Where's the other 25 going? You have to spend it somewhere. And ideally, it's going to be on a productive bat for this lineup. 2 of them.
I think the next best move is Marte. And the third best move is just an unforeseen type bat, that we're not really talking about right now. I meant to look at the Marlins. Like, what do they have going on? Just a team that's just under the radar. Isaac Paredes' name, we've talked about him recently. That name's been kicked around. I don't know where you'd play him. I guess he can play third. Or is he second? I get him mixed up.
I think third, but I could be wrong off the top of my head.
Yeah, and he's an ARB 2 guy, so it's 2 years of control. Shouldn't be a lot of money theoretically. I don't know if Paredes and Ketel Marte really get you there. They might. I don't know.
Well, and even then, there's the concern of the asking price, where people were speculating, oh, well, yeah, Paredes, they've shown some interest in. The asking price is totally end early. I'm like, are you giving us your whole team? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, the asking price is your 2 best pitching prospects. Okay. Are you giving us an ace? If no, get the hell out of here,
I mean, you should be able to do a Duran Paredes swap. That could be a 1-for-1 type thing.
You would think that Duran has to get moved. I mean, you'd think we have to move someone, whether it's Duran or Abreu. I mean, we've heard some reports, or at least I had, that I saw that they were a little more committed to playing Abreu versus both-handedness next year. That's good to see. A little bit of sink or swim, hopefully develop the guy. He wasn't god-awful versus lefties, certainly, and the defense is there. But, then you get the reports like Terry mentioned about, like, they're high on Nate Eaton. And it's like the guy is fast, and that's it. I mean, I remember when the year before they were high on, what's his name? David Hamilton. Even I was high on David Hamilton. He put up 2.6 WAR in like 98 games or something like that. I said, yeah, sure, we could try this guy out. We tried him out. It didn't work, So unfortunately, when speed is really the only aspect of your game, it tends to disappoint more often than not. And that worries me, that we're the Boston Red Sox aiming for a $264 million payroll. That's what our eyes are set on. And we're talking about David Hamilton and Nate Eaton and that type of player is someone we're really high on. We shouldn't be. You shouldn't be high on bench pieces and depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just looking at Nate Eaton. I wanted to find a stat that I could laugh at, but he's just painfully average. I mean, his batting average is good, 296 and 81 at bats, but only one home run. On base was okay. He drew some walks, 348, but his slugging 383. OPS was 731, which is just about average. I think 720 is league average, and then an OPS plus. That's the stat I wanted to go to. I was waiting to see something like a 70 OPS plus. It's 105, so just slightly above average, but that's not the name I want to hear. I don't want to be a platoon dynasty again. We probably will be, but it hasn't been. My confidence is lower than it was a month ago. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's kind of funny because you'd think, the Sonny Gray trade logically should improve my confidence in us spending on a bat, right? Well, we have more money available. We didn't have to go 30 million on Ranger Suarez. We spent 10 million on Sonny Gray. In theory, that should make me say, well, Nick, see, we're maneuvering, but for some reason I agree with you. It's kind of like once bitten, twice shy. That's what's going through my head right now, because how many times have the Red Sox been in this kind of position before? When was the last free agent that we really splurged on and everyone rejoiced? I mean, JD Martinez in 2018.
I feel like he was the first one that immediately came to mind.
Right? Who since then?
Maybe Story at the
been,
time.
Yeah, I guess Story, yeah.
He's the last guy to get more than a 2-year deal, I think, or maybe.
That's right.
I don't know.
That's right. And I hated that deal when it broke.
Really?
I was not a Story guy.
I thought you meant JD.
I was all for Trevor Story. I'll take the L on that one. I still don't, even though he was finally decent. I didn't.
We signed JD at the winter meetings, right?
No, he didn't sign until
it was later in December, right?
Just before spring training.
Oh, really?
That was after the Stanton move. That was our recovery from that, if I recall correctly.
Okay, you're right. I remember that.
Yeah, Stanton had that trade happened early, but that's what I meant earlier. Dombrowski was okay with just letting Martinez sit out there. Dombrowski can play the game, and the Red Sox were the only multi-year offer. The Diamondbacks were willing to bring him back for $30 a year for 1 year. And, because that's the team he was traded to that year. And he hit literally 30 home runs in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Just went off. And so, Dombrowski's like, well, whatever. We'll do it when you're ready. Yeah. And, and that's about the deal Alonso should sign,
Yeah, and it's night and day when you compare those two climates as well. JD was kind of the wallflower, right? He was on the outskirts. Dombrowski knew it. He said, no one's really looking at this guy. I like him. I'm going to let him marinate for a little bit. And then, hey, buddy, how about this offer? My God, he signs it immediately. Alonso, I mean, you're not going to get away with that. Everyone wants this dude. He is the belle of the ball. And, ultimately, you're going to have to get into an arms race with some of the bigger teams. And we're going to see, is Breslow ready for that?
Yeah, I keep refreshing, but
I know, me too.
I don't think anything's gonna really happen. If it is, and I happen to be awake, I'll call Charlie since he's West Coast. And
so I suppose at least on the East Coast here, it's 11 p.m. right now as we're recording this. And what the biggest transaction that the Sox have made today was the Vaughn Grissom move. Which, it's fine. I'm not going to spit on that by any means, but it is funny that is the 1209 milestone of 2025 is Vaughn Grissom traded for an outfielder that I'm actually not sure of the name of.
Yeah, we got some minor leaguer today too. Yeah. Just a stupid minor league deal.
Isaiah Jackson.
Right.
looks like drafted this year. So
8th round, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I hope Von Grissom goes off, kind of like Quinn Priester did
for
from the
sure.
mound, and then we can be
For
like,
sure.
even the Angels are smarter than Breslow, and that's the lowest bar imaginable. Remember when Ohtani picked the Angels?
I
And
know,
we're
that's
like,
crazy.
I was like, what? You could have had any team.
I know.
You could have had an automatic ring if you picked like 3 different teams. If you went to Houston, New York, Boston, and I'm
He
like,
probably got
the
there and was like,
Angels?
"Oh, what the hell?"
I'm like, does he know how bad they are? You know?
They told him the team from LA gave him an offer, and he said, "Oh, absolutely, put it in the books." They said, "Wait, Ohtani, you don't understand." He said, "No, dude,
Yeah,
LA, come on,
sign it."
And then he gets there, and he's like, wait, this isn't the Dodgers?
Hold on. I'm gonna have to correct this in 5 years.
Yeah, a few years down the line.
Yeah.
Apparently, Mike Trout talked him into it. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
mean,
Trout was still pretty
I can
relevant.
see that at the
Right,
time, and
right,
the
right.
Rendon deal that would come shortly thereafter, they thought was going to be,
Yeah.
their monumental over the top move. But the Angels have always kind of made those, right? The
Right.
Angels have had so many monumental over the top moves going back to Pujols and everything. It's like if that team's signing a free agent, it is not going to end well.
Pujols they thought he was like 32, but he probably was 39 or something because they fudge all that stuff. So, yeah, he fell off pretty bad right away. Yeah, so I don't know. Well, I don't think anything's going to drop, so we'll see. There should be some action tomorrow.
All we're getting is some very, small rumors. How many cryptic tweets have we gotten today from Will Fleming and a few others that were like, "Oh, don't worry, Red Sox Nation. There are rumblings." And I'm like, okay, maybe Alex Cora ate a bad burrito. I don't, there are rumblings. Please.
That tweet, he's like, I'm getting information that's going to make Red Sox fans so happy. And I'm like, you couldn't even make the White Sox happy. They hired the other guy.
Yep. All I can hope is that that they're right, that they're hearing something, and that whatever that something is happens to be legitimate. That's what we're going to see. Oh, God. Any closing thoughts, fellas?
Hopefully tomorrow's a good day.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those weeks, I imagine. We'll see. I mean, anything could happen tomorrow. I'll be glued to my phone, I know. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We do appreciate it. Fingers crossed that something breaks. I mean, you're hearing so many teams having so much interest in so many players. Is tomorrow going to be the day that Marte signs, trades, Alonso signs? We'll see. I've been Nick, joined by Doug and Terry. We've been the Bastards of Boston. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching along. We do appreciate it. Let's just hope that Brez can get this done and make us eat our words. I will be more than happy to do so if he's able to pull off a great offseason here. Take care, everyone. Let's go Red.